Hello and welcome to another Hand Drink Solo wine info video, and today we're discussing the Kolab range's GoGetter Cabernet Sauvignon 2019. Kolab is a range of wines made by some fairly epic, critically acclaimed winemakers, but it's all done under a veil of secrecy. It's like that steamy scene from Eyes Wide Shut, except with less steam and more grapes. This veil of secrecy means that we're not allowed to talk about who made the wines. But from the fact that this veil of secrecy even exists, we can logically deduce that each one of the winemakers involved has a reputation that is so serious,
very serious,
that they don't want to risk having it tarnished by making a wine that is perhaps less serious.
It's not that serious.
The advantage for us, of course, is that this means we don't have to pay 500 Rand for a bottle of Stellenbosch Cabernet Sauvignon, hypothetically speaking, in order for us to be able to experience the incredible work of these reclusive artistes.
An artist.
An artist. Artist.
A true artist.
The artist must be true.
And the advantage for the reclusive artistes is that they get a chance to experiment, be creative, try new techniques, try different winemaking styles, and produce a wine without having to worry how they're going to explain to their oh-so-serious clientele how this wine fits into their otherwise very well-developed brand.
It's hard to explain, Captain.
So damn hard.
But when we get to sample this wine, what we very quickly learn is that it is an experiment in creating pop rock out of a cultivar that is perhaps better suited to creating edgier hard rock. When we give it a sniff, we aren't greeted by the usual slightly more surly Mediterranean herbs and perhaps savory roasted bell pepper. Instead, what we have is a sort of soft, warm, inviting puppies in slow motion laundry detergent advert type of affair. There are lovely, inviting, plush blueberries, some sweet vanilla spice, perhaps a hint of blackcurrant fruit pastels, and then maybe, at its most savory, there is a little element of that roasted aroma that you get perhaps when you put black plums in the oven. And when we get to take a sip, the palate is every bit as inviting as the nose. Again, there are these waves of blue and black fruit. And sure, with an ABV of 14.5%, there is a touch of alcoholic spice on the finish, but nothing so severe as to be able to mar the beautifully plush, velvety tail end that comes with this wine. And Cabernet Sauvignon's usual fairly hard tannins have been replaced by far softer edges, and again, an amplification of that black fruit. Stepping back from this particular wine and discussing Cabernet Sauvignon in general, we know that its parents are Sauvignon Blanc and Cabernet Franc. And we know plenty about Sauvignon Blanc. We know that one of its parents is Sauvignon. We know that its name translated means wild white. Cabernet Franc, less so. We know very little about its name. The best guess is that it possibly came from Latin and can be translated to mean the black vine of France. And if we thought knowledge about its name was murky, the knowledge of its parentage is virtually non-existent. But while we might not know who its parents are, we definitely know who its children are. This gregarious knave has produced a number of children. We've mentioned Cabernet Sauvignon already, but it has also produced CARMENERE and MERLOT, which makes Cabernet Sauvignon, MERLOT, and CARMENERE all step-siblings. And this makes sense when you realize that all of them seem to have fairly pronounced herbal elements in them, especially when harvested at slightly lower levels. And the other thing that ties them all together is a rather noticeable roasted red bell pepper at its best, and at worst, unripe green pepper that often pops up in these wines when they are again harvested at slightly lower potential alcohol levels. These two sensory elements combined make them quite easy to rule in or rule out in a blind tasting. However, if you do still confuse a Franc with a Sauvignon or a Sauvignon with a CARMENERE, fear not, because you can lean on genetics in order to motivate at least half a pardon from your oh-so-serious blind tasting wine compatriots. Okay, so that's all we have time for today, but if you enjoyed this video, then consider subscribing to the Hand Drink Solo Wine Info channel, where we publish at least 6 videos each month touching on wine science, wine history, unusual cultivars, and some of the rising winemaking stars coming out of the South African wineland.